Hey guys, welcome back to SourceFedNERD. It's Superhero Roundup. I'm Matt Lieberman.
I'm Sam Basher.
And I'm DJ Woldridge.
Yeah, and today we are going to be talking about the new episodes of Gotham, Constantine, Arrow, and we're going to be doing DJ's
I've got
pull
my
list.
pull list, and we're also going to do something special this week. We have a few less episodes, so we're going to do a special look at cosplay, because why not talk about the rest of superhero culture while we're here for the roundup? And so Trisha's going to show us a cosplay she did for the New York Comic Con, and we're going to see some of your cosplays specifically focused on Batman villains. Her cosplay is a Batman villain,
Sweet.
And so we're going to see some fan cosplays of Batman villains.
That's
cool.
rad. Yeah, unfortunately,
fun.
for anyone who's a fan, which I think is everybody, Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were off this week.
I didn't know what to do with myself on Tuesday night.
I know, it felt so
real
empty.
bummed.
So Gotham this week, a
Tell me about it.
continued maybe uptick of improvement.
Yeah, you know, I think it's probably the best episode of the show.
That's what everyone keeps saying, is that it's getting better.
Yeah, but here's
better is comparative.
it's a tough thing to define, because here's the thing: the first half of the episode I thought was pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we have really high stakes. You know, the whole status quo has been overturned.
Yeah.
Gordon is kind of on the run and taking the fight to the mob.
Yeah.
Like, that's all good. But then the second half, like basically as soon as Bullock just kind of shows up out of nowhere and is like,
decides that he's a good guy now.
yeah, you know what? We're all gonna die anyway. Let's go kill bad guys.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. There was no motivation for it, and then the dialogue just gets worse.
Yeah.
And then the reveal at the end, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, well, honestly, the reveal at the end helped me a little bit, because we find out that Gordon didn't kill Penguin. Everybody finds out Gordon didn't kill Penguin, because Penguin just shows up. And then, so we've revealed that the mob's trying. Fish Mooney obviously is trying to get rid of Penguin, because he knows that she was about ready to flip on Falcone and all this stuff. And then so Penguin leads a group of Maroni mobsters to just shoot up the Russian gangster who's tied to Fish Mooney. And my difficulty with that was, you didn't move. We all know Penguin knows stuff and is back, and we didn't just change our safe houses, because maybe he'll just bring people up. But
that's not my quibble. I like that sequence.
It's a fun. But see, the thing is, the things just happen in the show without any thought about where they're coming from or where they're going. Things just occur. And this was one of those things that just occurred, but then we find out that Penguin's actually he's a triple agent. Is he a triple agent or a double agent?
He's
working for Falcone.
He's a triple agent because he's ultimately working for himself.
Yeah.
It turns out that way back in the pilot, right before Falcone tells Gordon to kill Penguin, he has a conversation with Penguin where he's like, why should I let you live? And he's like, because I'm gonna, just give me one request. Ask Gordon to kill me, because I know he can't do it, and I'll be your snitch on everybody. Yeah. I'll be your snitch in Maroni's camp, and because being a snitch is what I'm good at. Which, fine. It smooths out a lot of the logic of the show.
It smooths out
some of the logic of the show.
Sounds more complicated.
It's better than he's just all over the place. It gives him a sense of purpose. Because honestly, up till now, his motivation has been very unclear. Yeah. It's just sort of like, okay, he's going in with the rival gangster because he still wants power and he still wants to be a gangster, but he was killing people while he was out of town. Regardless, it makes sense as to why he came back, why he's maybe protecting Gordon a little bit. The fact that he is still under Falcone's dominion also gives Falcone some more power and makes him more of a figure.
But I also feel like Falcone cares too much about Penguin's opinion. You know, I'm not sure about this decision you're making to keep Gordon alive. You know what? If you're the big crime boss, just fucking kill Gordon. Like, why are you taking Penguin's advice on it? You're clearly a snitch. Like,
with a terrible haircut.
Yeah, but I feel like the big moment of this episode was the appearance of Zass, who's actually played by the guy that played the Mist. On The Flash
a couple weeks ago.
Which I don't know if he just gets work because he actually has no hair on his body, or they just keep asking him to do roles where he has no hair.
I think he might just be an alopecia man.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, he's fine. I had a little bit, like, he goes to the GCPD, which for the shitty town that Gotham is, it is the least protected building in the city. Steps on some desks, and like I think it's Gordon tells all the cops to leave, or does he tell Zack?
He tells all the cops to leave.
Get out, and they all just like, cool, and they leave.
Well, but that's what I liked about it, because Gordon was like, listen, you can't touch. Like, he's telling the captain why, the commissioner, why everything's gonna be okay. He's like, look, you know, there's got to be other good cops here. Yes, I'm going to arrest Falcone, Fish Mooney, and all these people, but there have to be other cops who are going to stand by me, and we're going to take on the mob together. And I love that he was just going after the mob, this like suicide mission to go after the mob. Victor Zsasz shows up, and he's like, yeah, everybody get out. And Gordon realizes just how alone he is, and gets like wounded in this shootout. I thought that this whole sequence was like the best one we've gotten yet.
Yeah, the sequence was fine. I think the shootout in the parking garage was a little weakly choreographed, and it also led to another, like, this show really doesn't like women.
No, not at all.
The one cop that shows up is like, hey, what's going on, and gets shot, and then the one cop Zsasz kills
is a woman.
And then the one thing that destroys Gordon's entire plan to take down Falcone
is
that
his
stupid girlfriend decides to be like, no matter what you say, Gordon, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna help you. And it's like, why are you this?
Barbara Keene is the worst character on this show.
No, Edward Nygma's still on this show. She's the second worst character on the show.
I disagree. Edward Nygma, while he's annoying, at least doesn't ruin the show on a weekly basis. She gets in the way of everything. She exists just to give him a weakness, basically.
Yeah.
Just to give him something to protect that he really shouldn't care about because she's terrible.
Yeah, I just feel like every time you get
so awful.
You get scenes like that, you just feel like the writers' room are like, women sure are stupid, huh? And they're not.
They're not stupid.
And they don't need
to die or be annoying.
Fun fact. We'll get to more smart women later because of Felicity Smoke, but we should probably get Constantine out of the way first.
Yeah.
Okay, I can talk about that. I thought this episode was much better than the pilot.
You thought it was better than the pilot?
Better than the pilot. Really? You didn't think so?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I was bored to hell in the pilot.
I was bored by this episode.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought it was very generic. Like
the show is generic.
Constantine should exist on like FX.
Yeah.
Not because like people are like, oh, to stay true to the character. I'm not so much that I'm fine changing stuff, but if you stay true to the character, at least it would be different than every other supernatural investigation show that has been on TV.
That's ever existed. Yeah. This is exactly what those shows are.
If you watch
Nothing
Grimm
special.
or Supernatural, you know you get this show.
Yeah, and that's really the issue for me is just there's nothing to hang on to here that's different. Like, I get what you're saying, and I hate to like gripe over the show we wish we had instead of the show that exists because we're here reviewing a show.
Yeah.
But at least if it was on FX, they could take bolder chances with the storytelling, which at present feels really, really familiar. Yeah. They're not doing anything really different yet. I like that he's an exorcist. That's a little different, at least for the protagonist to be, and his attitude is a little different. I don't hate Matt Ryan as Constantine.
No.
But there's nothing remarkable.
It's just meh.
Yeah.
The episode I liked better because the girl, I did not like the girl, whoever was originally cast as the sidekick. Yeah. Did not like her. Glad she's gone. I like the new Zed.
Zed. She has a little more fire to her.
Yeah, she's feisty and she's a little more mysterious, and she can still have powers, and they're just trying to recover from losing this actress and this character. But so I like that. I liked the villain made sense.
I just felt like the whole plot was like from a show from the 50s. Like, do we even still have
what?
mining towns?
Of course we do.
It's a mining town with a ghost, and it's
Dude,
like
they're absolutely
like,
mining
and it's a
towns.
mining
like that's something.
ghost.
Yeah, but I just feel
it's
like
a mine ghost.
it's but I feel like that's something I would have seen on an episode of something on TV.
But see, I feel like this episode to me felt straight out of like 90s TV. Like it felt like it could be like a cast-off episode of Buffy if we didn't care about any of the characters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
I have no expectations for this show, and I was entertained watching it.
Yeah.
It is not a show that I'm going to be excited to watch. I'm going to watch it to see if it will get better and it will grab
And
me.
the opening sequence where the miner gets roasted alive in his shower was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
I did not expect.
And the kind of creepy, maybe another show that doesn't quite love women very much, creepy widow who just hits on Constantine.
That was a weird scene. That
Very
scene,
weird
It starts
scene.
out with like, she's like, "Why are you in my house?"
And he's
I'm
like,
gonna hit on you.
I'm a reporter, love.
Yeah.
And she's like, and he's like, oh, no, that's not what I'm about.
Get out of my house.
Get out of my house! You won't fuck me! Get out of my house!
And I feel like if it was on FX and closer
What
to
just
Constantine,
happened?
he would have still had sex with her.
He would have had sex
Why
with
not?
her,
Yeah.
and then she would have said, get out of my house.
I was also a little bit weirded out by the end because I get they're definitely going with like an old school form of mysticism and typical what we understand in pop culture, but like the whole like we all know there's no blacker magic than gypsy magic. Romany, like that's a people group.
That's
I don't know if we could just throw a whole people group in the wood chipper.
Oh, come on. That is not what they're doing.
I kind of cringed.
Yeah,
I was
it's kind of like, ugh.
Okay, the line isn't perfect, but they're not saying...
It's like Constantine walks up and like, all I'm trying to say is Hitler had some good ideas.
That is not what he said.
That's
you
what
are
it sounded
putting words
like.
in his British mouth.
That's all, it's the way it came across.
Yeah. Also, why is his sidekick back? I missed that part. Because the pilot we watched is the Comic-Con one.
Yes.
We should have watched the one from that was aired.
That aired.
Because there are changes in it. Remember when the demon...
From what I understand, they're not substantial.
They are not, but they at least explain that in a way that I understood. Because all that happened from what I saw was that he gets stabbed through the chest with that thing, you'll see. But it's like, it's not a big spoiler, but he's there. And then he shows up later, and then he's at the bar at the end, and then he's in the second episode.
Yeah, because he's immortal. That's his thing, which was good for me because...
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's just immortal, dude.
Which they should have expressed better in the show. But
He's just immortal.
In the comics, my understanding is in the comics he is not immortal. He is, however, the only friend Constantine has that does not get killed. Everybody else, like if you know John Constantine, your clock is ticking.
Constantine.
Well, no, here's the thing. In the comics, there's specifically a time where he says it's Constantine, like fine, because he's a British accent, and that's how you pronounce it.
But the only other name that Constantine is in history is it's pronounced Constantine.
By us in America.
And
if you're anywhere outside of America.
It's an American comic.
Yeah, but it created by British creators, and it specifically said in the comics to be pronounced Constantine like fine.
Okay, so in the comments.
But anyway, don't vote on that. What you should vote on is let us know. Are you guys watching Constantine? Are you watching
Constantine?
Are you watching?
Are you watching it? Because if you're not watching it, we might not keep covering it.
I will watch it. I will watch it because I like a good supernatural show, and I'm not watching Supernatural the show.
Yeah.
Cool. So Sam, and then
here's my rule. My rule with the show is I'll give it 5 episodes. If nothing has happened on this show to hook me, which like it doesn't take much to hook me. I'm still watching Gotham and actively rooting for it to get better.
Yeah.
Like that was S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, exactly. Actively rooted for it to get better. If there's nothing within 5 episodes, I might have to give up because both the pilot and this episode have just. It's not that they're bad. It's just that there's not enough that's different. I'm not seeing anything new here. It's not original.
I haven't had a good supernatural story in a while.
Yeah.
That is why I'm holding on to this show. And I'm not even holding on. This is something I'll turn on when I'm like going to sleep or just kind of zoning out. I need noise in the back.
It's time to talk about Arrow, which had a cool
one
episode
saving grace this
week, which has been kind of like a flat week. But no, this was a very solid episode. Yep. You know, as people know, I'm still brand new to the Arrow fandom. I'm still like catching up on all the old episodes. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Felicity Smoke has quickly become like my favorite character.
Yeah.
I
She's
love
everybody's
her.
favorite character.
She's wonderful. She's brilliant. She's wonderfully played. She's beautiful. She's incredibly effective. And have an origin story episode for her, I imagine for longtime fans, was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought about wanting to know where she came from, but they did a good job with it.
Yeah.
They did a great job, and I'll get to the spoilers.
Spoiler. They did some really cool things. I love the opening where you see the 3 groups training and practicing.
That's great, yeah.
And then you see how like Oliver's kind of like, Roy, man, you're not holding your own. And then Ted Grant's to like Laurel, like, you need to step it up. Thea is apparently an A student. She's doing great.
The best.
What are other
people doing?
And that would have been cool on it's one of those things that when like a TV show just does something like competent, it's cool to see because especially after a week of like Gotham and Constantine, like just to see a show just be really competent at what it does, like, oh man, that's refreshing.
It just knows exactly what it wants to be, and it's setting up that this season is about these 3 stories.
Exactly, but then it takes it to the next level about just seeing Felicity Smoke in her daily routine, which is fine because the truth is she's not normal. Like she's a super hacker, like it's berserk. But her day-to-day routine is the closest thing that we all could associate with.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a cool way to,
falling behind in her sit-ups.
Exactly. And then Ray Palmer shows up, which was not the person I expected to be at the door. But then the next person to show up is the person I expected to be at the door. And I'm glad there was an explanation for that because it seemed a little too neat.
Yeah.
It seemed a little too
neat that mom
suddenly
was in
mom
town.
just shows up while all this crazy stuff's going
here's
on.
the thing.
Yeah, continue with your
Well, what I would just say, for all the things that I liked in this episode, it was also rife with cliches.
Yeah, I think this might have been the weakest episode this season.
Yeah.
Even though it had
I
stuff
still
that I
enjoyed it, but you could basically guess everything that was going to happen.
Yeah. In terms of like plot construction of an episode, it wasn't the strongest, but what it's setting up for the future, a lot of cool ideas.
Speaking of setting up, I shit my pants when they mentioned Brother Eye because they escalated quickly. Like that's because Brother Eye in the comics is the Skynet for the DC universe.
Cool.
Oh, you were talking about it earlier. Okay.
And so it's one of those like that's.
I thought the other thing was.
Well, we have Amanda Waller and
OMAC becomes related to Brother Eye. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're setting up that this thing that Felicity created will get a mind of its own and take over the OMAC project.
Wow. That will make Felicity's story like
because
blow up.
we kind of solved this Brother Eye issue with this episode, but Brother Eye is a big deal in the
Imagine
comics.
what would happen if it hacked into Argus too.
Yeah,
and then it just merged all the.
So when that happened, I think that was the big tipping point for that. That was the high point of the episode when they revealed there was Brother Eye, and then everything in the episode after that was just
except for that end.
The end was crazy. We'll get to that.
Because nobody
also. That was berserk. But I also liked the death homage to Goth Felicity Smoke. Her outfit was very similar to the character Death from the Sandman comics.
Oh,
which was cool. She wore the Ankh.
Oh,
cool. It was fun.
Yeah. Okay, that is cool. I just thought it was like
I liked it with black hair.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody knew that the boyfriend was going to be alive.
Yeah, and he was fine in the past sequences. Him as the villain at the end was real rough.
Yeah,
he was trying
Did not
real
believe
hard.
him with that gun.
Yeah. He always did these motions, which it's one of those. It might have been a creative decision to show that this guy is not. He would I'm gonna there was always like a wind up to him pointing the gun at somebody, and it's one of those I don't know if you need.
Why? Okay, so there's a scene
I feel like if
at
he worked
the end.
for the NSA, get some gun training.
Well,
Just a little bit. Is a hacker just basic? Here, this is how you point a gun. This is how you point at a person.
Yeah.
But why do you have 3 sentry guns set up in a triangle position around the room in case somebody came in? What? In case? It's just a computer room. That's all that this is.
But I also like all the screens that they needed for the Brother Eye
Have their
thing.
logo on it?
Just listen, which would seem extreme unless if you've ever worked in a corporate office and then you know that it's weird things happen from time to time. I also like to think that he has Felicity. This is all some big elaborate plot so that Felicity can redirect some national treasure armored trucks to give this guy some money. And there's guys waiting for the trucks, and one of them has a rocket launcher. And it's I wonder how they decide. Did they draw straws for the one that gets the rocket launcher? Because you all know they wanted to be rocket launcher.
Yeah, of course.
What are they going to use the rocket launcher
tank
for? What, they're going to blow open the truck?
I just blow the truck away. I
They're
guess,
not going to burn.
And how do we disable?
Is it gold?
No, it's
gold.
money.
It's money. It's something.
It's something.
It's money because they need new circulation. But we now know how to take out an RPG with an arrow
to the back.
An arrow will take out an RPG.
I would imagine that was a writer's room thing where and the arrow hits it, and then the rocket hits the ground, and they all blow up. And the producers are no, we don't have the budget for that.
What are you talking about?
But I will say
jam it.
the action was very all over the map. I love the first time Brother Eye strikes, it's a blackout, and Ollie runs and saves this woman by sliding in the car.
Yeah.
It was fucking cool. Pretty much anytime Oliver's in an action sequence in this episode, awesome. If anybody else is in an action sequence, it's really weird. Yeah. Because when he's taking out those sentry guns and you have that cool shot where he's running around and it's shooting through its thing, that was cool, and he's running up. But then Roy looks really weird when they're taking out the gun. He's always
well, you have to remember, he's off his game, DJ.
He is off his game.
He hasn't been sleeping.
The Oliver action scenes were good. Everybody else.
Show.
Well,
he hasn't slept.
He hasn't slept.
They've said it in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
He has not slept.
Well, now we find out why he's not sleeping, which was the next what just
I have
happened?
to
Roy
say,
killed
that was
Sarah?
the biggest
Maybe.
twist
Oh, spoiler
I have
alert.
seen.
Yeah.
This is the biggest twist I have seen in a superhero show, in a network show.
Well, and it's funny because obviously he Matt, you may not know this. When he got injected with the same superpowered stuff Slade had, the Deathstroke, the big bad from last season, and it made him kind of go bonkers. And he murdered somebody. That's something that I always forget about. He murdered an innocent.
Roy murdered an innocent.
Yeah,
but he's roided out and he can't. He doesn't know what he's doing.
So he's having drug flashbacks.
Well, I'm wondering if it might be because it's not he shoots arrows, he chucks the arrows.
So they're not gone. His powers are not gone.
His super strength is, I guess, dormant. If he's not just having nightmares, because there still might be another twist that something.
I'm expecting like split personalities. Like he is dreaming it, so maybe like he snapped and he can remember it. Yeah. I would like split personalities because it's like that'd be interesting.
That basically we're forgetting about motive here. He has no reason.
Kill Sarah?
Well, that's what I'm saying is like maybe he was brainwashed. Was he kidnapped at any point last season?
He was kidnapped a bunch last season.
Well, okay, so there's this weird part in season 2
when you get kidnapped, you get brainwashed.
Well, you got kidnapped, but like he disappeared for a while. Like he's like, I'm too dangerous. I gotta go to Bloodhaven, and he leaves. And he's gone for a couple episodes, and they don't even mention it, and then he pops back up later.
I'm telling you, while he was in Bloodhaven,
even if that didn't happen, he got his mind got messed with Brother Blood a lot, which I was kind of wondering, like, is Brother Blood back? Maybe. Which I was kind of disappointed they got rid of him last season. I was hoping that there would be a season of him being the mayor, because how great would that be if the mayor of the town is a bonkers supervillain trying to do his best, but like Arrow knows it the whole time? Like that dichotomy would have been cool to me, but whatever. Maybe you can.
I like
maybe stretch believability too much, but whatever.
And overall, it was one of the weaker ones, but for a side character's story, this was top. This was top because
it was a fun episode.
There was a Diggle episode once, and that's when they did the Suicide Squad, and then I believe there was one for Thea. I could be wrong though. Has there been a Thea episode yet? Probably.
Well, I mean, we got the flashbacks for Thea a couple episodes back.
It was a good supporting character episode.
All right. Okay, so that wraps up the TV for this week. Continue. Send us your thoughts. Let us know what you're thinking of these shows at the hashtag SH Roundup. DJ, what comics should people be picking up this week?
Yeah, I forgot to mention it last week. If you missed it, you should have picked up Amazing Spider-Man #9 because it's the beginning of the big Spider-Verse crossover. Every Spider-Man ever is teaming up against Morlun. Noir's going to be there. Every Spider-Man 2099, Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales. New Spider-Man they introduced from an alternate dimension. That's Gwen Stacy.
What?
Yeah, it's supposed to be really cool. But this coming week, this next Wednesday, you should be picking up Batman 36. That continues the storyline Endgame, where the Joker has somehow brainwashed the Justice League, and they're coming after Batman.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore.
Batman versus the Justice League is the most hardcore.
Yeah, and then Marvel's they're starting their new, like everything's new again. So we've got the all new Captain America, which now has Falcon as Captain America, Sam Wilson. And then Superior Iron Man, which I don't know what makes Tony superior, but obviously when Spider-Man was superior, it was because Doc Ock was in his brain. So maybe Tony Stark's a little bit darker. But those are the books you should be checking out this week from Marvel and DC. And also, again, since it was a lighter week this week, we're doing something a little bit special. And we're going to take a look at cosplay because that's a firm part of superhero culture. Let's take a look right now at our cosplay gallery, which is your guys' cosplays that you sent in as Batman villains. I'm here with Trisha Hershberger, and we're going to be talking cosplay.
Woo, cosplay!
So, who do we have here? Who's this a costume of?
In many different pieces right now, we have Copperhead from Batman Arkham Origins, not Copperhead from the comics, who has a very large snake head that would be very difficult to make.
That would be a challenge. What was the process of making this costume happen?
Basically, a lot of studying and freeze framing Batman Arkham Origins to make sure that I have all the details right. The outfit kind of looks deceivingly simple. These are not pants and vests that you can really get at a store or get even close to a store. The vest has its own shape to it, leather and snakeskin, grommets down the back, grommets on both sides, and then the pants also have the same snakeskin with bungee. So this took a lot of sewing and a lot of love. This vest started as one of these. And this leather of the one that I started with was actually much closer to this orange color, so I had to buy leather paint and learn how to use leather paint, which is flexible and doesn't crack. I just learned
something new right now.
The vest is probably my favorite piece, but that being said, there was a lot of love in the pants too. You can see the bungee here on the sides that I had to put in, and the snakeskin is not stretchy, and the pants that I started with are stretchy, so that was difficult to figure out how I was going to make that work. And then I also had to learn to cut and style a wig. I started off with a wig that kind of looked like a blonde mullet a little bit. Yeah. So there definitely was party in the back. And I bought a feathering razor and feathered the crap out of it so that it was longer in the front than it was in the back. And then I took Halloween black hairspray and clipped up the layers of the blonde and sprayed all underneath it to get that look that Copperhead has. I was actually going to make armor out of foam core, and then I got really lucky to know some super awesome people that do this stuff professionally. Nice. And they're like, yeah, we can totally do that. So, yeah, I mean, you can see the detail in this. Yeah. It's absolutely awesome.
What do you like about cosplay, like as a form of self-expression? Like, what about the practice do you like the most?
I may come from a different point than some when it comes to cosplay because I'm coming from a theater background. Mm-hmm. I love cosplay because you're getting to be a character that you've worshipped and loved forever without needing anyone to cast you in it. You're getting the power to cast yourself as whatever character you want to play. You can go to a convention and say, I've always wanted to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you know what? Cast yourself as Obi-Wan Kenobi and do it that day because you can. I'm inspired every single convention by cosplayers I've never seen before. I mean, you know when you go to a convention that Jessica Negri's gonna knock it out of the park. Yaya Han's gonna knock it out of the park. You're gonna see people that are professional seamstresses just do amazing things that blow your mind, or professional makeup artists that are gonna do a out of the ballpark mystique. Like, you kind of expect to see those when you go, but what does it for me is the people that are the first timers, the people that are the up-and-comers, because they've got different ideas. Just at San Diego Comic-Con this last year, I saw a girl who used rubber cement as the solidifying agent for her wig to style this outlandish anime hairstyle. It was awesome.
Are you okay, like, suiting up? And
we can suit up!
Showing off this badass costume?
Totally!
Cool, well, I'll give you a chance to do that, and we'll come back and take a look at Copperhead. And this is Copperhead, everybody. Trisha, it looks great.
Thank you. It's really fun to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, you know, a lot of cosplay and a lot of women are traditionally represented super, super sexy in comic books and video games. And not that Copperhead isn't sexy, but I definitely feel more badass. I'm like, you mess with me and I'm gonna kill you.
What is the process behind picking a character that you are going to cosplay as?
I always try to pick a character that I would really like to be, or a character that I've always kind of looked up to. Wonder Woman's a great example of that. She's super powerful and super hot. Jessica Rabbit's one that's kind of my holy grail of cosplay. Still haven't figured out how to make that dress work, but someday I will.
One of these days, how do you get in the character when you do a costume? Like, what does that process look like?
For me, coming from a theater background, I really like to get in character. Like, I'll be there and I like to be in character all day if I can, if I'm not working. And that's, you know, watching the movie a million times, or playing the game a lot, or watching the cinematic cutscenes from the game, or reading the comic books. I feel like embodying the role in attitude and in personality is just as important as embodying the role in the look and the costume.
Absolutely.
For me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for showing off Copperhead for us. And now go fuck up some folks.
Weapons check.
That's the cosplay creations for this week. It's something that you guys like. I'd like to keep doing every once in a while.
Hey,
so
me
if
too.
you have cosplay, if you've ever done a costume that relates to our shows like Arrow or Flash or Gotham or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., send that in to us. You can do it at the same hashtag.
At the same hashtag #SHRoundup.
Yep, and then we'll take a look at those and we'll bring in different cosplayers to talk about their method and dressing up as different characters.
Yeah,
I'd be
So it'll
down.
be fun.
Yeah.
I'll dress up as Quicksilver.
Yeah, well, there's no X-Men show. That's all right, buddy. But folks, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Superhero Roundup. We're gonna be back next week. Next week, Agents is back, Flash is back, sigh of relief.
Thank you, God.
Yeah, so excited.
I won't be sad.
So tune in next Friday. Continue to tell your friends. Make this show's audience grow. We want to keep doing it and doing it well.
Yep.
All right. I'm Matt Lieberman.
I'm Sam Basher.
And I'm DJ Wooldridge.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.